There's this idea that getting older means your world starts to shrink, that it's all about more worry and less joy. We're often told our best years are behind us, but what if the exact opposite were true? What if your 70s, 80s, and beyond could be the most peaceful and liberating time of your life? It absolutely can be. The secret isn't about chasing youth or buying more stuff. It's about the gentle art of letting go and embracing a few simple, powerful habits. These aren't huge, demanding changes. They're quiet shifts in how you see the world, small daily practices that build a foundation of calm, mindfulness, and a deep, unshakable peace. In this video, we're not talking about fancy creams or complicated investments. We're going to explore 5 core habits that can build a truly peaceful life after 70. These are lessons learned from decades of living, little bits of wisdom that can turn the golden years into a time of genuine contentment. So, if you've ever felt that life is becoming more about managing anxiety than actually feeling joy, this one's for you. Stick around as we explore these 5 transformative habits together. It really all comes down to a choice. Do you want to spend your later years managing a life full of clutter, regrets, and old obligations? Or do you want to curate a life of simplicity, presence, and peace? The habits we're about to discuss are the tools to do just that. They're the keys to unlocking a different kind of happiness, one that isn't tied to what's happening around you, but is grown from within. Let's start with the first and maybe the most important habit. The first habit is mindfulness, or what I like to call the art of truly showing up for your own life. When we're younger, we're always hurtling toward the next thing, the next goal, the next promotion, the next milestone we live in the future. As we get older, it's easy to fall into the opposite trap, living in the past. Our minds can get stuck in a library of regrets, what-ifs, and should-haves. Both of these, worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, rob us of the only moment that's ever truly real, right now. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to the present moment without judging it. It's not some mystical practice for monks on a mountaintop. It's a practical tool for finding peace right in the middle of your day. Study after study shows that mindfulness can be incredibly beneficial for older adults. Research highlights its power to boost mental clarity, reduce stress and anxiety, and even help with memory. A 2024 systematic review even found that mindfulness-based practices consistently improve social connection and emotional stability, especially for those feeling isolated. It teaches us to notice our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. I remember a gentleman I spoke with, a man named Arthur in his late 70s. He was a retired accountant whose mind had been trained to worry for over 70 years. He worried about his health, his money, his kids, you name it. He described it as a constant low hum of anxiety that just never turned off. His doctor suggested he try a simple mindfulness exercise, just 5 minutes each morning focusing on his breath. No special gear, no chanting, just sitting in his favorite chair and paying attention to the feeling of his breath. He told me, with a look of pure surprise, for the first week it felt impossible. My mind was a runaway train. But I kept at it, and then one morning something shifted. He said he was sitting there, and for the first time he really heard the birds singing outside. He noticed the way the morning light made the dust motes dance in the air. He said, those things were always there, of course, but I was never here to see them. That small 5-minute practice started to ripple through his whole day. He noticed the taste of his coffee, the warmth of the sun on his walk, the real emotion in his wife's voice. The anxiety didn't just disappear, but its grip on him loosened. It was no longer the main event. It was just a passing cloud in the sky of his awareness. Arthur's story shows that mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind, but about being more present within it. It's a habit that costs nothing but gives you the priceless gift of peace. The second habit is all about building psychological resilience. If mindfulness is the anchor that keeps you steady, resilience is what allows you to handle life's inevitable storms without breaking life, especially after 70, is going to have its challenges. There might be health issues, the loss of people you love, or changes in your independence. Resilience isn't about pretending these things don't hurt. It's the learned ability to adapt and even find new strength when they happen. Resilient older adults don't just bounce back, they often bounce forward, discovering new purpose in the face of adversity. Research shows that resilience is a critical factor in healthy aging, linked to better mental health, greater life satisfaction, and even a longer life. It's that inner voice that says, "This is tough, but I can handle it." It's about focusing on what you can control and learning to let go of what you can't. And it's a skill you can build at any age. I once knew a woman named Eleanor, who at 78 was diagnosed with a condition that severely limited her mobility. For decades, her passion was gardening. Her garden was her sanctuary. The diagnosis felt like a cruel joke. For the first few months, she was heartbroken, feeling her life was essentially over. Her garden, which she could see from her window, became a painful reminder of everything she'd lost. Then one day, her granddaughter came over and, seeing her sadness, brought her a small pot with a basil plant. "Even if you can't be in the garden, Grandma," she said, "you can have a little piece of it with you." At first, Eleanor dismissed it, but she watered the plant and it started to thrive on her sunny windowsill. The next week, her granddaughter brought mint soon. Eleanor had a whole collection of pots, herbs, a tiny tomato plant, a single marigold. She couldn't kneel in the dirt anymore, but she could still nurture life. She started reading about container gardening and even began teaching her grandkids about the plants. Eleanor's story isn't about her physical limitations magically disappearing. It's about her adapting to them. She reframed her situation. Instead of focusing on the big garden she'd lost, she poured her energy into the small one she could still tend. She found a new sense of purpose. That's the heart of resilience, finding a new path forward when the old one is blocked. It's a conscious choice to focus on what's possible, not what's lost. And that brings us perfectly to our third habit, consciously choosing a positive mindset, which really boils down to optimism and gratitude. Now, this isn't about slapping on a fake smile and pretending problems don't exist. A truly positive mindset is about choosing where you put your focus. It's knowing that while you can't always control what happens to you, you can always choose how you respond. Gratitude and optimism aren't just fluffy, feel-good ideas. They have real power. Countless studies show that optimistic seniors report better health and are more satisfied with their lives. And the simple act of practicing gratitude, actively looking for the good things, is directly linked to less stress, better sleep, and more happiness. It literally retrains your brain to scan for the good in the world. When you're busy looking for things to be thankful for, you have a lot less time to focus on things to worry about. There was a retired school teacher I met named Frank. At 82, he'd had his fair share of troubles. He lived alone after his wife passed away and walked with a permanent limp from a bad hip replacement. You'd think he had every right to be a little bitter, and yet he was one of the most genuinely cheerful people I'd ever met. I asked him his secret. He smiled and said, "Every night before I go to sleep, I take out this little notebook and write down 3 things from the day that I'm grateful for. And they have to be specific." He showed me a page, and it read, 1. The taste of the strawberry jam on my toast this morning. 2. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable, waving to me from her porch. 3rd, the way the ending of my book surprised me. He explained, "When you have to find 3 new things every single day, you start looking for them. You go through your day on a treasure hunt." Frank hadn't changed his circumstances. His hips still ached and his house was still quiet, but he had completely changed his experience of those circumstances. He was actively creating his own peace. That's what a positive mindset is. It's not luck. It's a daily practice of choosing to see the small joys that are scattered everywhere, just waiting to be noticed. The fourth habit is about nurturing your social life, specifically beyond your immediate family. Of course, family is incredibly important, but research shows again and again that having a wide social network is crucial for healthy aging. Engaging with friends, neighbors, and community groups gives you a different kind of energy and support. It's a powerful weapon against loneliness and isolation, which are major risk factors for both cognitive decline and depression. Interacting with people from different walks of life keeps your mind sharp and introduces you to new ideas. A 2019 study found that seniors who regularly connected with people outside their close family were more likely to be physically active and have a more positive outlook. These connections remind you that you're more than just one role. You're not just a mom or a grandpa, you're a friend, a book club member, a volunteer, a neighbor. These roles enrich your identity and reinforce your value in the world. Let me tell you about a woman named Carol. After her husband passed away at 75, her world became very small. Her kids were wonderful and called every day, but during the long weekdays, the silence in her house was deafening. She felt her purpose was fading, that she was becoming someone who just needed to be cared for. One day, she saw a post from the local library online. They needed volunteers for the children's story hour. Carol had worked as a librarian's assistant before she got married and had always loved kids and books. She was terrified, but she signed up. The first day, as she sat down with a group of wide-eyed 5-year-olds and opened a picture book, something magical happened. She wasn't just Carol the widow, she was Miss Carol the story lady. The kids didn't care about her age or her grief. They just loved the funny voices she made. That 1 hour a week changed everything. It got her out of the house. It gave her a reason to get dressed and feel useful. She made friends with the other volunteers, and they started getting coffee. Soon, she joined the library's book club, too. Her social circle began to expand again. She told me, "My children give me comfort, but the library gives me a purpose." That's the power of social engagement. It reminds you that you're part of a larger community, a web of connections that gives life meaning and joy. Our fifth and final habit is embracing consistent, gentle physical activity. Notice the words, gentle and consistent. This isn't about training for a marathon. It's about the simple, profound act of moving your body every day in a way that feels good. Long-term studies and psychology confirm that one of the biggest predictors of lasting happiness is physical movement. The benefits are nearly endless. Of course, it improves physical health, but its impact on your mental and emotional well-being is just as powerful. Exercise is a natural mood booster, reducing symptoms of depression and anxiety. It keeps your mind sharp and gives you a sense of control over your own life. For those over 70, the goal isn't intensity, it's consistency. A daily walk, a gentle yoga or Tai Chi class, gardening, or even just dancing in the living room can be transformative. I think of a man named George, who at 85 was fiercely independent, but an illness had left him weak and terrified of falling. His world shrank to his apartment. He was afraid to walk to the corner store or even go get his mail. His doctor recommended a chair yoga class for seniors. George was skeptical. Yoga in a chair? That's not real exercise, he grumbled, but his daughter insisted. He walked into a room full of people his age, all sitting in a circle of chairs. To his surprise, as the instructor guided them through slow, deliberate stretches, he felt muscles waking up that he hadn't used in months. He felt a sense of ease he thought was gone forever. He went back the next week and the week after. Within a few months, George's balance had improved. He wasn't terrified of walking anymore. He started with short walks around the block, then to the park. The class did more than just improve his strength. It restored his confidence. It broke the cycle of fear that had kept him trapped. Movement is medicine for both the body and the soul. Gentle daily activity doesn't just keep you healthy. It keeps your spirit connected to the world. So let's take a breath. We've walked through 5 habits. Mindful presence to ground you in the now. Resilience to help you navigate life's storms. A positive mindset, fueled by gratitude, broad social engagement to give you purpose, and gentle physical activity to strengthen your body and spirit individually. Each of these habits seems small, almost too simple. But when you weave them together, they create a rhythm for living that protects your body, lifts your mind, and calms your soul. They remind us that peace isn't some destination you finally arrive at. It's a practice, something you build into the fabric of your ordinary days. Happiness after 70 isn't about luck. It's a daily practice built on a lifetime of small, wise choices. It's the quiet joy that comes from letting go of the need for life to be anything other than what it is, and finding the beauty in that reality. These habits aren't about adding more to your to-do list, they're about bringing more peace into your life. The journey starts with one small step. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits resonates with you the most right now? Or maybe you have a habit of your own that brings you peace. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your wisdom is a gift to this entire community. And if you found this helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more on living a full and joyful life at any age. Thank you for spending this time with me.